The carnivore diet. Will it send my cholesterol through the roof? Am I barreling towards heart disease? People are more afraid of red meat and saturated fat than ever before.
Multiple studies have shown that red meat can hurt your overall health.
Eating certain types of meat can also increase the risk of type 2 diabetes.
Eating a diet that's plant-based, that's rich in vegetables, is the right way to go.
Well, I've got my blood labs right here. And today we're going to break down exactly how 6 weeks on the carnivore diet has changed my health. Let's carve into it. Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome to Blood and Butter. This is just my script. It's not even the actual results. If you've seen my videos, you know I've been on an exclusively animal-based diet for the last 6 weeks. The carnivore diet. This means mostly meat with eggs, butter, salt, and some dairy. No carbs, no sugar, no plants, no alcohol. But thanks to nearly a century of biased, corporate-sponsored science and government-backed, grain-based dogma, the reaction to the way people have eaten for hundreds of thousands of years is, yeah, but you gonna die though. So, is that true? Is the carnivore diet gonna send my cholesterol through the roof? Am I on a beeline for diabetes, heart disease, and limb amputation? Or am I actually turning my health around and on a path to a healthier future? Well, let's talk about it. First, let's talk about where these myths came from. I'll keep the history lesson brief, but most of it started with a dude named Kellogg. Yep, like the cereal. John Harvey Kellogg was a devout member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and he believed that meat and foods rich in animal fat were fueling impure thoughts. He thought spicy in the bedroom started with spicy in the kitchen. So he set out to create bland, plant-based foods, hoping they would curb temptation. Enter Quake Flake, Porn Flake, damn it, cornflakes. That's right, cornflake. And if trying to keep Backyard Billy's jerk sessions to a minimum wasn't enough, this dude basically helped start the food industry's entire war on animal products. As food corporations grew, so did their advertising budgets. And it turns out the best way to sell your product is by demonizing the competition. Cheap grains and vegetable oils, healthy. Meat and butter, well, that's heart disease in a package. Then came Ancel Keys. This ugly bastard basically created the modern day fear of fat. He cherry-picked data from his famous 7-country study trying to prove that saturated fat led to heart disease. Except he ignored all the countries that didn't fit his theory. There are people a lot smarter than me who have done deep research into the reality that the diet heart hypothesis has never proven or shown causation between high cholesterol and heart disease. And not only that, his methods were sketchy at best. He used a model of Greece during Lent to represent their normal diet and just ignored the fact that their religious abstinence from meat was only temporary. He studied the people of Japan in 1958, just 13 years after World War II. Yeah, that's our bad, Japan. Different time. But Hitler wasn't that dude though. Come on, y'all. Safe animal food was barely even available at that time due to the devastation of post-nuclear radiation. But again, this was disregarded by Keys and Company as irrelevant. This bad science became the foundation for decades of government-provided dietary guidelines, all while food corporations got rich selling processed, low-fat garbage. Delicious garbage. But garbage. And right behind them, campaign-funding pharma companies, cashing in on the wave of chronic diseases that put band-aids on all the downstream health issues. And now we've got an entire population that's scared to eat the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. We're told to avoid steak and butter, but to eat highly processed seed oils, heart-healthy cereals, and a diet rich in pesticide-covered vegetables that have been engineered to be sweeter and less nutrient-dense than anything our ancestors would have found in the wild. So, let's put it to the test. I've been on the carnivore diet for 6 weeks. The blood work is in. Let's see what's really happening to my health. Okay, so I had my blood drawn before I started the carnivore diet when I was 377 pounds. I just got the new results in, and we're gonna start with the big one. The biggest fear people have when eating a diet high in saturated fats, cholesterol. The logic goes like this. If your total cholesterol goes over 200, those cholesterol molecules clog up your arteries, restrict blood flow, and leave you one cheeseburger away from a heart attack. Now, I actually think the science is shaky at best, and cholesterol itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are plenty of doctors out there who have spoken out about how ketogenic or carnivore diets actually impact heart disease risk factors. But I'll save the deep dive into that talk for another time. So, did my cholesterol skyrocket? Well, no. Before the carnivore diet, my cholesterol was right at 200, which is right at the peak of what's considered to be in a normal range. If the carnivore diet wrecks cholesterol, mine should have gone through the roof, right? After 6 weeks, my total cholesterol actually dropped from 200 to 175 milligrams per deciliter. Even more interesting, my LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, dropped too. It went from 122 to 96, well inside the optimal range. Now, something that's really important for people inside the obese category like myself is triglycerides. These are one of the biggest predictors of heart disease. Mine have been high since middle school. When I started the carnivore diet, my triglyceride level was at 277, and after 6 weeks, it's come down to 250. Now, that's still high, but let's be real, 34 years of bad decisions don't turn around overnight.
Except for the rest of these numbers, goddamn.
The biggest surprise to me, HDL, the good cholesterol. I expected an animal-based diet to increase my HDL, but that's not what happened. It actually dropped from 35 to 29. This is something I want to figure out and improve in the coming weeks. If you've had a similar experience to mine and know how to increase HDL naturally on the carnivore diet, drop a comment. I'd really love to hear from you. So, did my cholesterol reach catastrophic, deadly heights? No. Is the carnivore diet killing me after 6 weeks? Obviously not. I think the real lesson here is that this information that's being shared by doctors, researchers, and community leaders like got my results again. Dr. Sean Baker, Paul Saladino, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Sywes, Dr. Eric Westman, Dr. Boz, Nina Techholz, Gary Taubes, Carrie Mann, and Dante Ferrigno. It's accurate, at least for me. My heart health has taken an early and apparent step in the direction of preventing heart disease. By the way, I'm going to be doing a video about all the people and resources that have helped me in the early part of my carnivore journey, so go ahead and subscribe if you want to see that in a few weeks. Let's talk about blood sugar. Alright, that last section was long, so I'm not going to add a bunch of filler bullshit here. Apparently, some people believe you can become incredibly insulin resistant on a ketogenic or carnivore diet. That's news to me. I had never heard that before, nobody's ever asked me about it. If you believe that, let me know in the comments why, because that's a new one to me. I always thought it was like a commonly known thing that removing carbs improves insulin sensitivity. That's why I've been checking my blood sugar regularly since I started this. Normally my fasting glucose sits between 95 and 105. After I eat, sometimes it goes up to maybe 115. Not exactly thrilling. It was 97 before I started the carnivore diet. It was 95 when my blood was drawn last week. I'd like it to be in the 80s when I'm fasted, but I'm not super worried about it. But here's what's exciting. Diabetes runs in my family, and I was pretty sure I was headed down that road. My numbers before were still in the safe range, but it felt like I was on thin ice. Before carnivore, my A1C was at 5.4%. Not bad, not great either. Now, 4.9%. And that's a massive win. My fear of being pre-diabetic, gone. Moving on. When I originally wrote this, I had a whole section on kidney and liver health, and hell, I was bored writing it. I'm not gonna make you sit through that. The truth is, my kidneys and liver health were fine before I started this. They've been fine for years. And if you're not in that situation, that sucks. But going through a bunch of really boring medical markers about something that hasn't changed that much and is already in a healthy state, it's not good for either of us. If that changes at my next labs, I'll definitely let you know. For now, we're in good shape. Let's wrap this shit up. So, what's the verdict? After eating 6 weeks of nothing but meat, am I dying? Nope. If anything, my blood work shows some pretty incredible improvements. Do I think it's irresponsible that these assholes blindly report whatever the latest headline says about meat? Yeah, I do. Because it's really clearly different for everyone. And the science that claims that all of these markers should be worse, they haven't been able to prove causality in over 100 years. Now, I'm not saying that this is a miracle diet or that I won't run into problems down the road, but there are hundreds, if not thousands of people in the modern era who have eaten this way for a long time now. Not to mention hundreds of thousands of years of our human ancestors. It's the way we got to now. And 0 out of 10 doctors have studied me, so the science is still inconclusive. I'm gonna keep paying close attention to these markers, and as I continue down this road, we'll find out together if I survive or not. If you got something out of this video, please consider hitting like and subscribing. It helps get this info out to the people who need it. And let's be real, this way of eating isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.